Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I am your host, Sean Garmer. Here with me, as usual, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And well, we've got plenty to talk about on this episode. As far as gaming goes, more Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Mark restarted it, so I guess I'm officially ahead of him now. but we'll talk about that. Mark's been playing some Balatro as well. As is usual, big news dropped right after we did the podcast. The next day, Grand Theft Auto 6 new trailer after they announced that it was delayed. We'll talk about that. Any kind of hype levels after that was shown. We'll talk about some a new studio from PlayStation. Although it's a studio we already knew about, it has a name now. Um, Xbox finally being free of the FTC, maybe. Uh, there's a chance. It looks like Stellar Blade is officially coming to PC on June 11th. And more stuff. Even Destiny doing a thing with Star Wars. We'll get into all that stuff and more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so just let's really quickly get the housekeeping out of the way here. Thank you so much, whether you watched live, which you can do around the 8:30 to 9ish time Eastern on Mondays. If you like, subscribe, follow, whatever, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, W2 Network, you'll know when we go live. And then, if you want to pop in and say hello, watch. Of course, you can always just watch on demand later on the YouTube channel, W2 Network as well. If you subscribe on the YouTube side of things, you get not only what we do here, if you like other things that are not just video games, we got you covered. We have a whole anime show where they talk about the weekly anime, Otaku Cafe. So if you like watching that seasonal anime every season, they really do a great job of reviewing the good stuff. And then every time it ends, that season ends, they do like awards and a top 10 of the season. So worth checking out for sure. And then of course the Rouch and Broadcasting people. They did a Thunderbolts review last week. I'm sure they're reviewing a movie as we speak. They usually do that every Monday, so go make sure to check them out. We will talk about Thunderbolts today as well because I saw it over the weekend or on Tuesday. So definitely will remind myself so we can talk about it at the end. Without spoilers, but yeah. But all right. Also you can listen on podcasts. So if you are one of those that likes to listen to podcasts, you can definitely do that anywhere there are podcasts. Go check us out there. Like, follow, subscribe on there so that whenever we have a new episode, you could definitely check us out over there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about the games we are playing. I haven't played anything but Clair Obscur, so we can pause that for a second.
Sure.
Where are you on Balatro now that you've played?
Yeah, I finally picked it up with PS Plus. It's good.
All right.
I beat it once out of probably at least 75, maybe even 100 runs. And just like a basic kind of run too. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of guides or wikis about how to unlock better jokers and shit like that. But I like it. It's enjoyable enough. I think some run, you just can't get some run you are impossible to win.
Yeah. That game has RNG definitely that it's
right.
At some point you're gonna lose. I want to know if there is anybody that won it on their first try and then was like, I'm done.
Right. So yeah, that was. I was pretty obsessed with it for 2 or 3 days, and then I finally beat it, and now it's well, now I can play it, but it's not and I'm sure, and I 100% know there's more crap to unlock with different decks or different boss, whatever. But I'm happy to beat at least once, and then I'll go back to Expedition 33.
I mean, any like, do you feel like it's definitely an amazing game or whatever? You know, deserved after you
See,
now you beat it or
yes and no. I think the gameplay is good, but like ain't winning points for graphics or sound or a lot of that stuff. Uh and like I said, I don't think it's like too randomized. It's a problem that like Binding of Isaac kind of has, and that Zelda roguelike I liked. Like, it's funny because this and Binding of Isaac has this like seed system where it's like, oh, if you put in this, letter combination, you can unlock like this great seed. But it's like, well, you have to have unlocked that stuff in the first place. Like, if this seed has a joker that you don't have, then you're kind of screwed out,
yeah.
Uh, I mean, I can see why it's addictive, or I can see why, yeah, it's very, you just run after run after run. But now that I'm kind of beat it, at least like a very basic level, I'm okay with it now. Like, it's not an obsession anymore.
All right, that's fair enough.
I can
I
go
mean,
back to
hey,
playing.
you got hooked on it like a lot of people do. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. After like,
yeah.
like I said, after I beat it like once, then I was all right. I'm good now. Like, uh,
Hey,
we'll get into Expedition 33 in a minute. The other thing I did, it's quasi game related. I bought I found with Yens and went back to this fucking store, which is 100 miles away, the Onimusha Soul Katana controller.
oh, that's what that was. I thought you had actually bought the like sword or something.
It is.
And yeah, okay. So, but it's a sword, but it's a controller.
Yeah. So it comes in pieces. Like, you kind of attach the sword on top, and like the manual specifically says, don't play this game with this thing attached, because it's not really like attached. It's just kind of for decorative use. But like the controls are all on like the sword handle. So you get two analog sticks, a D-pad, and then all the face buttons and all the shoulder buttons. Uh, it's wireless, and it has motion controls, which is crazy to think about for a PS2 game or a
Yeah.
PS2 controller. Uh, it's basically like an analog to the. Did you ever see or play or own the Resident Evil chainsaw controller?
I mean, I've seen it. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I
pretty
used to have one.
crazy.
So did Jens. It's kind of the same thing as that. Uh, but yeah, this thing was $400.
Dang.
And I wasn't complete. Thankfully, very thankfully, it came in the box. It's missing this. The controller is supposed to have this like plastic stand you kind of set it on.
Hey, what's up? I don't
It
know if
is.
that's Keith or whoever that is doing it, saying
Oh,
hello from the Outer Haven, but hello.
it's missing the stand, but it thankfully has the dongle. If it didn't have the dongle, I'd be completely screwed, because you can't get that thing anymore, and it's like a
Yeah.
very one-off thing, or it's a good luck. Uh,
Did you get to use it?
Hell no. And here's the funny thing: I can't even find a copy of Onimusha 3. Like, I've gone to 5 game stores, maybe 6. Like, and it ain't a rare game. It's only $25. If you want like a complete version, but I cannot find it. I have
Yeah.
a Japanese copy, I think, somewhere.
Right.
Uh, but I even asked the dude. I called up one game store and I was like, "Yeah, this game." He's like, he checked. He's like, "No," and he was like, "It's one of those like uncommon common games where like it's not super rare, but just not a lot of stores have it." Or
Yeah, it's not something that there was a lot of copies of people
right,
took the stores and people still have them, right?
yeah.
Is it
But
crazy expensive on eBay or?
no, $25, $20.
Oh,
But
okay, that's
I'm one
not
of those
bad.
guys who likes the thrill of the hunt, so I'm gonna search around for it forever until a disc replay by me eventually has it.
All right.
Or
I
the game convention I'm going to like 6 months when it opens.
we got to have I don't know who can do it, but we got to have a video of you using the sword. so we can
No, I don't
play it on the podcast.
It's gonna be like the Star Wars kit or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's.
But it's a cool item, but it's not practical, just like the
Yeah.
chainsaw controller. But I like it.
Hey, it's a cool collector's item. That's what you go and get those things for. So
right. So yep, up to on Expedition 33.
Okay, so you were like almost, I think, at the point of like you had passed me last week, and then you restarted.
We were like a little neck and neck, but I think like I was like further than you in like one day, and then I kind of stopped playing for like 3 or 4 days, and then you messaged me and you're like, oh, I'm in Act 2, and I'm like, yo, I'm thinking of restarting, or
Yeah,
like,
I was there expecting you to tell me, oh, I'm in Act 3 already.
Right. So the reason I restarted was all the videos and articles came out about Mael's medallion weapon, how it's like game breaking. And I wanted that shit because I find combat in the game kind of hard, like not in an overt way, but like I'm pretty bad about timing certain things. On offense I do okay, but it's more like defending. Like I counter like 30% of the time, maybe 40 if I'm lucky. Like I'm not great with that. I frequently forget to like dodge, and then I really forget to jump a lot of the time, so that screws me up some. So yeah, I want a medallion. I restarted the game because I think like my initial pick was I got the dude weapon. I forget his name, Gustav yeah. And that wasn't great. So I restarted, and then I've continually been. I can't find a way to disable it completely, but I've been continually disabling or deleting the update that it wants to inflict upon me that nerfs everything.
I really don't think. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked to see how bad it supposedly nerfs it, but I really don't think that their whole thing has been wanting you to come up with your own ways to mess up the system, right? They have a picto that you get eventually that makes it to where you can go over the 9,999 damage.
Yeah.
So like, they want you to do that. So but I just think it's like, I get their point. The whole point isn't to build you up to the point where you're one-shotting the final boss of the entire game. So I kind of get why they need to nerf that.
Why not?
I don't know. I saw a lot of people that were kind of like, oh man, this kind of ruined it for me. And the problem is you can't go backwards.
Yeah, so, you can. You don't have to use. I mean, if you don't want to do that, I mean, it's a
okay. But I'm saying the people that didn't know that it was going to do that for them.
Right.
Once it doesn't do the thing like a lot of RPGs do, where you get a save at the final boss because of the autosave. There is no autosave before the final boss. It just autosaves to the new game plus or whatever automatically, apparently. So unless you happen to like really fast go to the previous save or something, which I figured out that you have to hit the other button, not the start button, but the other button on your controller. That will allow you to go back into like your 3 previous saves. I've had to use that a couple of times already.
See, that's what I was going to try to do. Is you mentioned that last time, and I was like, well, I hope I have a save. I mean, I have like 7 or 8 previous autosaves.
Yeah.
So I started going through back, and like 3 of them, or at least 3 or 4 of them, were back in the Gestural Village, but none of them were before the arena fight. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't go back. So yeah, that's why I have to restart this thing now.
Yeah, you're not I've seen quite a few people have a problem with the combat. It's taken me a bit to get used to it. There's still enemies that's like, okay, I'm gonna have to kind of like train myself, basically do this like 3 or 4 times, 5 times, and beat this one enemy so I can get, because some of these optional bosses, they're not that hard if you can actually like parry or dodge them. Yeah. It's just doing that consistently and not getting whacked at the wrong time. I just had one. So I'm in Act 2 still, but there's a section where you have to defeat these 2, they call it the axons, in order to get the thing that you need in order to progress that allows you to I guess get to
Right.
Act 3. I don't want to spoil anything because there's a big, huge moment in the story that happens like before you go to there. So like in that area before you get to there's a special section, like one of those optional areas, and they have a boss there that's like, he's not that hard, but the problem is he has some attacks where it's like, if you don't block it at the right time, he's gonna basically knock out like 2 of your characters, and then it's like you have that one character left, and you got to decide: do I like revive one of the characters? Do I just try to go for it and see if I can make it? So there's a lot of options. Then obviously you can do the thing where you like let the other 2 party members show up at the end if you just completely die, which sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't, because if you don't have it's like, I love the strategy in the game of like, sometimes do I just go with the 3 best party members, or do I let one of them be in the reserve party in case they all get knocked out? And I actually, Final Fantasy IX, which is one of the games that I love to death, I don't ever use hey, thank you for watching here. I don't ever use Quina, the blue mage, but man, I love the blue mage in this game. Monoko. He's just like, I love just going and finding an enemy I haven't fought with him before and getting the attack and figuring out, oh, is this going to be something useful for me? Is it not? I love the fact that he's like very you can use him as a support character, or you can use him as a damage character if you want. So like I'm really enjoying like changing around the characters and messing around. Like I got all my characters like level 45 right now. And I've seen like what I think it's like 60 or so you should be at to like beat the game if you're decent at the to get there. But yeah, man, I don't know anything else that's like jumped out at you now that you're like gone backwards and going through again, or
I'm also really following a guide now as far as dungeon, which is helpful because I missed out on some stuff in my first kind of run. I do like the fact that like the overworld does have kind of a map, but it's not like great, but they tried. So yeah,
it looks really cool. It's just I mean, the overworld map's not the problem. Like I can find where I want to go. It's when you get into the actual dungeon that's like,
yeah. That's why I'm following a damn guide, because
I agree. Like when I go into some of these optional areas, and it's something where you're actually having to explore, not the ones where you like go in there for like 2 seconds to get the little music thing or whatever it is and get out. I am doing that too, because it's like, again, I don't have 20 hours just to get lost in this thing. I will go backwards and like fight the same enemies again sometimes just to grind or whatever, so I end up going through that whole section a few times, but the initial part I'll do it with a guide or something, just because like, hey, Doom's coming. I want to like have this game, if not beat, like mostly the way there before that, I'm starting to play that, and just, again, I don't want to be like with Rebirth, where we were talking about Rebirth, I think for like 2 months, it felt like. So, obviously this game's shorter, but still doing all the optional stuff, it feels like this, the game's a lot longer. But yeah, man, I just keep enjoying it still.
And, I mean, you'll probably be in Act 3 when you do this next week, and I might be. I know Act 2 is longer, but I mean, the game actually opens up at least, so that's good.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure. But all right, that's it for the games we've been playing here. And Crafty, who's in the chat, he's going to be on the show this coming week here to talk about Doom. So we'll get to pick his brain on what he thinks about. He already has like the physical edition. He was showing us pictures in his on his community and Discord. It looks really awesome. So, like I said, right after we did the show, like the day after, I kind of figured this was going to happen because normally you don't do a delay and then don't have something to show people, right?
Right.
So Rockstar comes out with Grand Theft Auto 6 new trailer. It's pretty much like a story trailer.
Yeah, as opposed to like the last one, which is just like a mood trailer.
And, you know, a lot of talk about, oh, was this actually filmed on a PS5? Are they using PC and saying it's a PS5? Was it on the PS5 Pro? Rockstar reiterated that it is a PS5, base PS5. Of course, that does not appear in the wording on the Xbox trailer, but, you know, we know it was done on a PS5. I wonder if that means that Rockstar has one of those secret we are doing a kind of marketing deal with PlayStation, but we're not going to talk about it till we know the actual release date. Because just because May 26, 2026, sorry, is announced doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. Because Red Dead and GTA 5 both got delayed twice. So.
Right.
And Mike Bobo Stinks on YouTube here, who's commenting, says that GTA 6 will not look like the trailer. The normies will turn on it when they see it's locked at 30 FPS and interiors will be locked like the RDR camp. I mean, they've been pretty clear that it was going to be 30, So
Also,
that's not
like
surprising.
that trailer, yeah. I mean, it looked good, but there's no gameplay at all in that thing. So who cares?
Yeah. I could see some. Well, they did say that some of it's gameplay and some of it's cutscenes.
I mean,
so there is gameplay.
It looked like gameplay adjacent, but it wasn't like behind the shoulder.
Oh yeah, definitely
not. Nothing like, or even like driving a car. It wasn't like that Leslie Benzies game coming out in a few weeks. Like they showed that trailer off a few months ago. I was like, that looks like gameplay. Like it looked kind of shitty because it was gameplay, but it wasn't just all CGI or all just FMV stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of excited that it seems like they're going to go all over the map of Florida. As somebody that, lives in Miami here, getting to see that side of it's cool.
Are you looking forward to the Rockstar version of Disney World?
I wonder if that's going to be in there, right? Like, I know they are usually not shameful about representing, but was Disneyland in 5?
No, they just had like the boardwalk or the pier.
Okay. So I would imagine it's probably not, just because I don't think they want Disney involved with them at all. But I would imagine they're gonna get. I mean, we already seen like at South Beach, they pretty much looks like they nailed that when they showed it in the first trailer, and then they showed the Dolphins, things like a Dolphins jersey. I don't know where these clubs are going to be, but I'm sure some of them are going to be on the strip there too. Definitely there's going to be some, I bet, Jacksonville and North Florida Panhandle stuff. Also, so, and then they showed the Everglades a few times. So it's going to be fun to see where all this is going to be at. I'm kind of more excited about the game now after they showed this trailer. Thing is, not kind of pointless to get too excited because, again, we don't even know if they're not going to delay it again till like, fall 2026 or something. Even though they've had several DTAs come out around that time. So
that's what I actually think. It'll be like October or even maybe early November.
Well, I mean, you think that they got a gameplay trailer hiding there somewhere that they show during the Summer Games Fest or anything like that, or
Game Awards?
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah, Game Awards. I mean, that'd be huge.
They'll have it'll be like the last spot or like the last slot, and it'll be like here's 5 minutes or 10 minutes of you going through a mission or robbing some convenience store or something.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he's right about it won't look that good? Like we're kind of getting excited about.
Yeah, But also, I mean, it's apples to oranges because it's like no game looks as good as the pre-rendered or the video stuff never looks as good as the gameplay part. I mean, look at any game. That's a we might get there eventually, but it'll still be like 20 or 30 years, or it'll be the NVIDIA 10,000 series or some stupid thing like that. Like,
I think technically though, you've got to think about like all of the AI stuff, like all of the NPCs moving around kind of thing that Rockstar does so well. Like the way that they do little details on things that you don't think about, like the way that, they'll have somebody type on a computer, or the way that they clang the beer with the Modelo in that trailer. Like a lot of that stuff seems purposeful. Like they really thought about a lot of that stuff that you don't really necessarily get in a lot of other games. Like it feels like they will take time on minutia. Of course, they have the 10 years to be able to do that. That almost every other game, no way they have that kind of time, right?
right.
They can when you make $1 billion, you definitely can.
I think the problem with that, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because like,
Right.
okay, that stuff is cool, but how many more copies does that stuff sell? Versus how much time and energy and money does the beer clanging cost?
It doesn't matter when you got Grand Theft Auto Online making hand over fist constantly. I think it really,
but like this is the problem. That's this game, that the game is just like feature creep. Like look at Star Citizen, like that thing's still never coming out.
I don't think they're gonna have a problem with that. I mean, they have like we talked about like last week, they have people that are familiar with how to do things from Roblox, of like essentially just have your own build a game inside Grand Theft Auto Online. They've already done this in Grand Theft Auto 5. So they already have that entire history of how to keep this going. And I think that's just going to continue. Right. I saw a lot. How do you think that, somebody's going to get, I'm sure Sony's going to get some kind of, you think Sony's going to be able to sell PS5s with Grand Theft Auto 6?
I mean, like a bundle?
Like as a bundle? Yeah.
No, because I don't think they've ever done a bundle with GTA. It might be like an add-on, or GameStop or Walmart might do it, but I don't think it'll be like some official, GTA is preloaded on the system, or you get a disc copy or anything.
I do think we're probably going to get some kind of like exclusive stories or whatever to the PS5 for Grand Theft Auto Online, or maybe.
I mean, I don't even think they did that with GTA 5. So, whatever. I mean, even if they do custom like content, it'll be so minor that it won't matter at all.
Yeah, it's gonna, because they did that one with for 4 with the DLC, but that was back when they actually had DLC, right?
Right.
5, they killed that. So,
right,
gonna be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a $120 super deluxe thrifty edition that has like who knows how many outfits and other stuff,
and it'll not include a copy of the game.
Yeah, right.
That's cool. That's the cool thing special editions nowadays have. It's like, oh, you get. I think one of the dudes.
Oh, you mean like not having the physical version of the game?
Yeah. Right? No. I mean like not having the game at all. Like there are collector's editions, and it's like here's $200. I think Doom did it, like, or some id thing where it's like here's a $200 collector's edition of the game. It has no game included.
Right.
Just a whole bunch of other crap, and it's like what? Like, I could understand partially if you don't want to include like a physical copy of the game, but you're not even including a digital one.
Right.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like so many versions of that.
Yeah, and the most expensive one should have the game.
The way they're selling the game to look, you're going to need an 8K PC. Yeah, he's not joking. For sure. Probably will. But I mean, that's also why they're waiting, right? They can get you to double dip on the PC version because it's going to look hella amazing, and they're going to put, there's going to be mods and crazy stuff you're going to get to do in that game. So,
yeah,
we'll see. Mike worries about. Do you worry about that too? Because Red Dead Redemption 2 had a problem with being kind of slow.
Yeah, that's why I stopped playing it.
Do you think GTA 6 is going to have that problem, or?
Yeah, because it'll the longer it'll take you to get through it, the more they can try to suck you into GTA Online, and the less they want to the less they want to sell it back to like GameStop or whoever.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
think.
even like
Yeah,
the problem is like most GTA stories are like bloated or
right.
editing is needed. So believe me, I'm sure this will have that same problem.
Yeah, I wonder how much there's because they show them obviously a lot together in this trailer. So is almost everything going to be where they're both together in this, or is they're going to split them off and you're going to have the two different stories solo? Because the last game had the three different characters. So
I imagine you can split them off, but I imagine for like the open world shit.
yeah,
But if for the missions, they'll be together if the story requires it.
there's a lot of Bonnie and Clyde in here as well.
Right.
So
Well, it's more like Mickey and Mallory Knox from Natural Born Killers.
as well. So all right, I mean, even Rockstar, said that they essentially they have all kinds of faith in the studio. They didn't tell anybody. They wanted the studio to kind of announce this stuff. They did also reveal like a lot of the characters as well. So like you can go find that online of
Yeah,
a
they had
lot of
like
the characters they
trailer,
showed in here.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
read any of that because I didn't want to spoil it, or I
I'm the
read it.
same way. I didn't really want to know too much.
Right.
There's the one guy that says in the trailer, like, if you have someone hook me up or whatever. He looks exactly like I can't think of his name, but he's in the Bear. He's like the maintenance guy
Right.
in the Bear. He looks exactly like him, and I'm just like, I wonder if there was some, did he get some permission for that, or they just kind of made it really close?
Made it really close.
Yeah, but we'll see. Since we're on that, what are we talking about? Take-Two. They also announced Mafia: The Old Country, following in the footsteps of Clair Obscur. It's going to be $50. Comes out August 8th, which the release date was already kind of leaked before. But they said that they believe that there is room in their portfolio for a game that is very just narrative driven and kind of has a linear focus, which is kind of the opposite of what Mafia has been. They're very open worldy and had a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
the open
collecting.
world also was always bad. So
Yeah, I mean they kind of did give them that feedback as well of just like maybe that's not a direction we need to keep going, and
right.
looks like they've taken that to heart
Yeah.
right now.
I mean, I tried to play that Mafia 1 remaster and I just got incredibly bored because like the city is like a decent scale, but you got nothing to do in it. It's just driving from one mission to the other. And this takes
Yeah,
up a lot of goddamn time. So
right.
I'd rather just cut that and just get with it.
So this makes you kind of more interested
I'd be
in
more
that.
interested in playing it, sure.
Yeah.
But I
I mean, I think it
won't.
also makes more sense because it's a prequel, right? They can kind of go in any kind of direction they want.
Yeah, I'm sure they don't want to like. I'm not even sure when it's supposed to like take place, but like I'm sure it'd be hard to like even with cars like trying to recreate like Italy or Sicily or whatever cities and areas are going to have this
Right.
game in. So it's like, screw it, let's just have it mission by mission or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure you'll have like a home base maybe, or something like a house or apartment where you can like change outfits and do all the other stupid crap you can do in these games. But that'll be about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it just because, that whole thing. And also the fact that it doesn't have the big open world because, I'd rather be able to just get through the story and go on and not have to just be interrupted constantly with collectathon stuff or various other
Right.
side mission things that don't. Um,
That's a lot what killed Indiana Jones for me. Like once I beat it, it's like, all right, I gotta go hunt all this crap down, and then it's like, wait a second, no, I don't. Like,
well, yeah, I was gonna say like Indiana Jones has a storyline through. You don't have to do all that, but
right,
you can if you want. Uh, Also, Mike brought up a good point. They most likely probably going to have like some kind of relationship meter or something between the two. I wouldn't be surprised that they'll add in because it's if you're going to go all across Florida or it's going to be centered around in Vice City, definitely going to have like, oh, let's go on a date, let's do all this stuff,
Right.
So.
And yeah, to be like, oh yeah, you increased rank, so now your partner is more capable, or
Yeah, exactly.
whatever.
But all right, moving on from Take-Two, Rockstar, they're heading into something that maybe affects most likely does affect the video game and tech landscape for the foreseeable future, as long as it doesn't go backwards.
Right.
Don't like to look. I'm not trying to make this political. It just affects video game market. So U.S. and China both agreed to a 90-day pause on tariffs. Stuff coming into there's stuff that's coming in to the U.S. from China. China's tariffs on American goods went from 125% to 10%, and U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods went from 145% to 30%. So that's a lot less.
Right.
So Sony was smart in waiting.
Right.
I guess at this point. Now they probably have a good reason to just say, okay, we're not gonna increase prices right now. Depending on whatever that 30% is, and who knows if it could go down even more. They said this is not the end of talks. It's just kind of a preliminary, like, let's get this out there.
Right.
And we'll see how it goes. The US is going to pay like 10% more in tariffs than they were before this whole thing started. But I guess is way less than all those companies would have had to pay before. But yeah, interesting. Microsoft kind of jumped the gun. I wonder if there's any kind of thought of, should we have waited too, or you think that was kind of just an excuse they wanted to raise the prices for?
I think they jumped the gun. I mean, they're trying to sell consoles, and they're trying to, they have to look at the market.
Are they trying to sell consoles?
Well, ideally they should be, but or if they aren't, just say fuck it and immediately just discontinue the whole thing.
Well, no, I mean, it's still the highest reason to have. I mean, it's still the highest player count for Game Pass, so they're definitely not going to discontinue it. But it's just like, I get it that you want people to play Game Pass forever, right? That's the whole point. Get the revenue, get the subscriber, right? But the console is still like a great way to get people in your home playing that thing. It's there. You can use it for other things. And it's just like, all right. I mean, y'all are going to try to sell people on another one of these. You already took away all the games. You're going to move those to PlayStation eventually. You're moving them one by one, pretty much. We talked about Gears last week. So, it's just kind of, it's like, all right, well, you kind of just already told us pretty much, like, you don't expect hardly anyone to go buy these consoles now.
Let me ask you this: if when Sony makes the PS6, if they actually said we will allow Game Pass to be on here, do you think Xbox will make another console?
Man, I just can't, like, that's the line that I feel like if you cross that, you might as well just pack it up.
Right.
Like, at first, when they still had the exclusive games, I think if they would have said, yeah, let us have Game Pass on PlayStation, I think they would have done it. But I think now it's like, no, man, you cannot put that on PlayStation, because what is the point? What's the point of buying anything that has Xbox on it? What's the point of buying? I mean, like, I have a picture of it. I forgot to put it in here while I'm loading this up.
The ROG.
Yeah, the Xbox ROG Ally, essentially. Like, if you're making your own handheld, right? You're trying to, the only thing that I feel like has a shot at selling with Xbox on it at this point, aside from the crazy people that might buy the Xbox ROG Ally thing, is that Xbox handheld for the next generation. If you don't have Game Pass on that and it's not on, I'd have to take us off to have it completely on there. But man, that thing just looks like a ROG Ally with the Xbox buttons. It's not anything.
That's what I said it was going to be. I mean, yeah, like, and the ROG Ally was kind of a piece of shit when it first launched. So it's like, yep.
And it's apparently, I mean, which I'm fine with, because they really shouldn't be charging a crazy amount for it, or you're not going to have anybody buying it. Also,
right.
I mean, apparently it's not as powerful as the big, the most expensive ROG.
Yeah,
but it's like comparable to the ROG, I guess base version of it. So, I mean, and that's fine in a way. It's just, if you don't have Game Pass as your exclusive or whatever, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what's the point at that point of, I get it, it's about revenue, but what is anybody that has anything to do with Xbox gain from that? And it just, I saw some folks talking about it. Like, are they just putting the games on PlayStation, not just to make money, but also this is the way to get PlayStation to accept Game Pass, because now all the games are a la carte. And that's what it looks like. It has this is a leaked image, by the way. It's not an official image. But it just has the Xbox buttons there, and that's pretty much it. Everything else kind of looks like a ROG Ally.
The only way they would Sony would ever allow this would be like when Microsoft would have to say no more hardware, and then also we're going to give you a cut.
Oh, definitely, because it's on their store. It's just like, anything. It's like Xbox gives a cut of all the games that they have on PlayStation.
Tell that to Epic, who thinks stores should be completely free and all that other bullshit. Like, no.
Oh yeah, didn't they? When Team Sony won the Apple case or whatever, Epic won that Apple case, which they're still gonna fight it globally. They won it in the US. He talked about like he might go after consoles too, and it's like, I don't know. There's precedent there. I don't think that.
Again, my response to him is twofold. A, fuck off, and then B, like, what right do you have to dictate if I make a marketplace or make a console or make a phone? What right do you have to be? No,
I think the phone is a little bit different, because Apple is making money off of any link that you are putting to get somebody to go to a different store. I think that's a little bit like, that's obtrusive at that point. You're telling people, oh, we made it to where you can have this on the store now, but we're still going to get something. And it's like, you should still get something, right? From, the initial whatever from it, the initial purchase or the initial, but it's like, why do you need to get every single, I think it's different when a phone is a necessity almost. And when you're talking about consoles that have the precedent that it's been like that, I don't know if that's going to fly necessarily, because, they're not obtruding anybody from putting something on the store, right? It's still free. Essentially, you're just, you're giving Xbox or Sony or Nintendo a cut of every microtransaction that they buy for Fortnite or whatever. Just
right.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm like you. If Microsoft gives up on the console completely and they say, okay, you know what, it's just not working. It's not gonna sell there's kind of no point to having this. What we really want is we're the number one publisher on PlayStation. They have the top 3 games, selling games on for April on the PlayStation Store. We want to keep doing that. The console's just losing us money. That's when I think, okay, we're out of here, right?
Right.
So, and then they'll agree to have Game Pass, because even though it will be only first party Game Pass, because they're not going to let them have the third parties on Game Pass there, because it undercuts Sony. Nobody will buy the game on PlayStation. But yeah, I think this is all a great idea in theory. I don't see the point of Game Pass if you're going to put it on the other console, because why does anybody need to buy anything with Xbox anything at that point if you don't even have Game Pass as an exclusive? Like, at least you buy a Fire Stick today, or you have your TV and it happens to, like mine, where you can get the Xbox app or whatever. I only pay $20 a month and I can get all these games. If I can now do that on PlayStation, why would I even bother ever thinking about buying an Xbox device? Other than I have Xbox games that don't work outside of Game Pass, right? The backwards compatibility thing. And that's going to keep getting a smaller and smaller and smaller piece of the pie at that point. So, and even Xbox diehards that never bought anything PlayStation in their life are thinking about, what's the point, right? I have the systems that can play those games. If I want to play those games, I'll just take one of those systems out, or just keep my Series X or S or whatever and keep playing those games, and then I'll just get a PlayStation from that one,
Right.
So, but one thing that's positive for Xbox is that it seems like they are finally done with the FTC. The FTC filed a appeal to the decision by the 9th District Circuit Court that denied them the access to the injunction that would have blocked the deal from going through. The deal went through, and now the injunction has been denied. So I'm sure they could appeal it again, but I think at that point you're just really grasping at straws.
Right.
So Microsoft officially owns Activision Blizzard officially, even though they already did. But I guess that's a good thing for Microsoft. I don't know if that helps them with anything as far as if they were holding back any kind of backwards compatible stuff or putting any kind of games on Game Pass or whatever because of that.
Yeah.
It helps, I guess, that they're finally done with it. So they can stop paying legal fees to fight them in court, I guess.
Right.
But speaking of Game Pass, since we're already there, Doom is obviously coming next week. We know that. That's the big highlight. Doom, the Dark Ages, that is. There's reviews out there. It has like, what, an 85 or so, 84, I think.
Right.
Outer Haven reviewed it. So I'll put a link in the description there.
Gave it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, no, they did not. Lot of talk about how this is not like where are you interested at all in this, the way that they have the gameplay with the kind of the stand your ground, the block and counter thing, or
no? But I say that as someone who didn't like the last 2 games. So
yeah, but the last 2 games were different from each other too. But
same dudes are making it. It's not, sure, but
yeah,
I still don't like the core ethos of the game. So
fair enough. I give them credit for at least trying to do something different, with the last one in the trilogy or whatever. Maybe it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but there seems to be a lot of people that are liking it as well. The other kind of highlight, which is cool because I had no idea this existed, is like there's a spin-off game of Limbo called Culebra and the Souls of Limbo that's coming to Game Pass on the 16th, which has characters on both sides, both good and evil from the game that you get to meet. So that's cool that exists and it's coming to Game Pass. Both Inside and Limbo have been on Game Pass before, so Kind of makes
Right.
sense. Yeah. So that's cool. That's like the one, and aside from Revenge of the Savage Planet, which is out now, also you can go play that. The other stuff is stuff that's already been on Game Pass. It's now going to be on standard or whatever. And the simulator games, Firefighter Simulator and Police Simulator, that I guess
Finally.
does decently well. That they keep getting all these simulator games to put on Game Pass, but yeah,
You'd be surprised. I mean, people like those relaxing games. So
yeah, it's true. I've seen
you'd be
people play those
surprised.
like train simulators for
Right, where they have
hours.
like
Yeah,
elaborate train controllers and shit like
yeah,
that.
exactly. But let's move on to Sony here on the other side of the console spectrum. A leak happened like right before we're about to start the episode. Of a trailer was shown a little bit too early on the PlayStation YouTube channel for Stellar Blade going to PC officially. June 11th is the release date, so it's going to release like the week after Summer Game Fest. It's going to have all of the typical stuff you'd expect, high resolution textures, DLSS, FSR. It's going to have 25 new costumes, ultra wide support, DualSense. There's going to be a pre-order outfit as well. A lot more other stuff, unlock frame rate, and I'm sure mods that are going to make all kinds
Instantly.
of crazy stuff.
that'll be like within the first minute,
Yeah, both of us really enjoyed this game. Gonna be happy for people that are on PC and get to play it.
Yep.
Anything you want to say on that?
No, I mean I don't think I'll get it unless they send a review code, which I doubt. But
Yeah,
I'm sure that game looked really nice on PC.
Yeah, I'm sure it will look great on PC.
Or it'll be a shambling mess. Like PS5 releases, a few years ago or even like a year ago were pretty good, but now they're a little more iffy. So
let's hope not. Let's hope it's good.
Yeah, hopefully they put in the time.
For sure. Speaking of putting the time, we've known about this studio for a while. And when we talked about Destiny having that MOBA that they're making with the codename Gummy Bears. Officially the team has a name. It is called Team LFG, which officially is being called Looking for Group. We know what LFG means in another context.
Right.
Which, considering it has like Fortnite devs and Bungie devs and whatnot, which really kind of doesn't mean much nowadays, because you can have a dev team full of people that were just super experienced and all this stuff, and the game winds up flopping regardless.
Yep.
Also people from Roblox and League of Legends. So definitely folks that know what's going on with the live service and those games that people are playing constantly. We're talking about some of the highest number between League of Legends, Fortnite, Roblox, and even Destiny. Talk about people that are playing those games constantly every day, kind of thing. They're based in Bellevue, Washington. I like their mission statement that they kind of brought it out, that they're there basically building a community, wanting to have the thing that it's about, pulling off the play that makes the whole match. But this is the first game's a MOBA, and you don't really, MOBAs kind of went out of style. There's not many that are kind of still doing extremely well in existence.
I mean, just the big two, yeah.
Yeah, the big two, and that's kind of it. But also considering there's not a ton of them, right? Like the Extraction Shooter, for instance. Do you think this puts them in a better spot to maybe have this kind of surprise? Or
if it's a console MOBA, I don't think it'll work at all.
Yeah.
If it's PC, it might have a chance, but that's like 4% or something. I mean, hell, Blizzard's MOBA failed basically. So if Blizzard can't do it,
yeah,
just what chance does this thing have?
The only people that have been able to do it really is Pokemon Unite. and that's
Yeah.
I don't know how many players that has, but they're
Well,
still
that's
doing content for it. So
because of just the brand name, though. I mean,
right,
it's not
yeah,
because,
you're right.
so
It is about that for
yeah.
sure. But I mean, hey, people that are complaining about, oh man, Sony's still doing the live service. Why do they make another studio to do this? It's like this studio already existed. They just gave it a name now. They gotta keep going for this, even if it does fail, honestly, because Xbox has Minecraft, Xbox has Call of Duty, Xbox has you know, I can't they have Candy Crush. Like, they have they have Warzone, they have like all these live service things that basically allows them to fund all of their little, all their boutique games and all their stuff. And like Sony doesn't have that. And at
But
some
still,
point,
but like,
yeah.
yes, Sony doesn't have that, but look at the sales between Sony and Microsoft consoles, or
Okay, the consoles sell, but
not
eventually
not
with all the money that you're putting into those games, where
not
the
even the console.
you
Look at like the overall health of the division.
right, it's doing great. The Portal's doing amazing compared to what they thought it was going to do. I think only VR2 is really the one that's kind of doing okay. Even though I
I
think
mean,
there's
not
reports that are going
really.
to do a VR3
No,
supposedly, but
that's not going to happen. I mean,
I wouldn't
even
be surprised if they do, just to
I
say
would
that they
be.
did it. But
Like, I mean, they barely even sold the VR2 on like in stores, and you can say that the pandemic was like a problem or a major influence of that, but like, pandemic's pretty much over. It's been over
right,
for like 3 years now. And have you ever walked into a GameStop or like a Target or Walmart and seen a PSVR2 on a store shelf? Fuck no.
no.
So,
But I mean, like even Facebook Meta reported that their sales are dropping for the Meta
yeah,
Quest and all
but you can
that.
still go to
So
a Best Buy and buy a Quest 3 or whatever.
right,
It'll be in the dusty corner where you might get shanked because there's no lighting back there, but they still have them. Like, so I mean, I think the problem is, I think like VR is kind of done, at least for now, because
yeah.
headsets are too bulky still.
Mhm.
There's not enough content. I mean, like, here's the
It's
sad
it's
thing.
expensive, right?
Yeah,
And especially for the Sony part, you got to buy the console. I mean, yes, now it works with PC, but you also got to have a pretty good PC to
yeah,
be able
it
to,
ain't great for that.
yeah,
But also, like, even if you bought like a Quest 3 right now, or whatever is like the current modern version of it,
right,
like, and you go to like the most popular game or popular app on the you know Oculus or MetaQuest storefront, it's Beat Saber, and it's like,
yeah.
yo, Beat Saber is 10 years old. Like, if there's not a new game overtaking it, or doing something new, that's a
I
real
mean,
content problem.
I mean, yeah, that is a problem, but also it's like Beat Saber's like gold, dude. It's like Rock Band without having to have all the instruments, and then you can also exercise to that thing. I mean, like it's talk
Yeah,
about,
but
you
but they
know,
they made a Rock Band 2 after like 2 years, and they
yeah.
made a Rock Band 3 after about 2.5 or 3 years. Like,
But that's just kind
they,
of the way it goes. I mean, in years
they
past, we would have had a Destiny 3 by now. It's
yeah.
just
So
we would have had a Minecraft 2 in the past by now. It's
right,
just it's just the way it is. Keep that game going until it just doesn't go anymore,
but the
right?
problem is, like,
Yeah.
that mentality. Like, once they eventually beat the dead horse, into dust, like, and
Will we beat the dead horse though? Will we?
well, that's exactly what you're saying. Is like, ride the horse into the dirt. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you did that. Now you have to actually make the new one, or the new sequel, which you should, like we talked about this last week, like the Sims 5.
Yeah.
You've been doing that 5 years ago, and you didn't. So now you have to wait 5 years, and with people forgetting the brand, or forgetting, all the good memories they had with it. And will
Right.
they come back for the next one? Maybe, maybe not. You know.
Yeah, I have this feeling like right now it's just the way things are, regardless of the stuff with the tariffs or whatever. Things are not getting cheaper. Things are getting more expensive. Consoles are getting more expensive, regardless.
Sure,
Um,
but like,
games are getting more expensive. Play the thing that's free until
but it's the thing that's free is looking like a 10 or 15-year-old game because hey, it is.
right.
Like, what's the new thing? Or why buy the console in the first place?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
but
my,
that's the thing is like Sony doesn't have the thing
right, but
that
Microsoft's
yeah
things are all, Minecraft is 15 years old.
right
Uh, Call of Duty, I mean, they make a new one of those, thankfully, but it's built on, they're not like massively different or upgraded from, game to game. Like it was telling when my roommate got a PS5 Pro, like the first thing he downloaded was Destiny 2, and it's like
yeah
a good use of this system, like. But yeah, it's like yeah, for him, it's like what's the new thing? And it's like well, maybe Warzone, but that's about it.
yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, listen, I don't blame people at that point to just you keep playing that because it's a thing you like, right?
Right,
And it doesn't cost you anything other than the skins you want to buy, whatever, which is crazy. People will spend $25 skins, but they don't want to play a, like a brand new game that came out. But that's the thing, right? You invested so much in this game, you just
right.
buy the skin, and it doesn't feel like you wasted money because you've already spent so many hours in this game.
It's
Yeah,
funny. Like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I finally broke down and actually spent money in Infinity Nikki. Like basically their season pass thing.
yeah.
It was like right before the patch that fucked everything up. So now I kind of don't want to ever go back to it, or it'll take a while for me to go back to it.
Yeah. And I still contend that like it makes sense why Sony's doing this. I don't know how many more of them have to do either just okay or fail in order for them to finally just be like, well, we gotta figure out something else, right?
Right,
Um, do they eventually go the Microsoft route of having different studios doing smaller games or smaller studios doing kind of like double A type games that aren't like 200 $300 million every time? Maybe that's the route as well.
right.
Obviously Microsoft has Game Pass to get people to try those out for a $40 $50 game that you know doesn't cost you anything except for the $20 a month you already paid to try it out and beat it in a weekend or a week or whatever. I don't know. I don't know if somebody's going to go that route. I mean, they'll put like one indie game on PS Plus at launch, for you. So I don't
But
know.
they don't particularly care about any games, so
Right.
why would they put a bunch of that stuff on PS Plus? It's like, well,
No, I'm
it's how.
saying like the reason why that works, right, is I'm not having to buy the $40 or $50 game to figure out if I like it. I'm just spending it on the service. Whereas, like,
Right,
would Sony go that route to try to get more games out in a lesser time frame without spending so much money because they don't have the live service game that kind of funnels in money constantly to help when things don't sell as well. So you know maybe their route with the movies and TV shows are going to be the thing that is going to help fund instead of the live
yep.
service games that haven't worked out.
Twisted Metal season 2 is going to be a real winner.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see. I mean, Last of Us is kind of if I don't know what the temperature is on that from the casuals, but all I keep
Right.
seeing from the people that are like the ones that have played the game is every episode they hate it more and more. So I don't know. I'm still
Hey,
waiting for the
it
whole season to come out to watch it.
it kind of follows Last of Us too, so
I guess that's fair. Um, moving on to EA here because they have some news. Split Fiction has sold 4 million copies, which is pretty great. Considering that also because of that friend pass, I wonder how many more they would have sold if they didn't have the friend pass, where your friend also has to buy a copy of it, or would that mean that they sell less because of that? But still pretty cool. That Joseph Fares and Split Fiction has done well. Happy to see it for them. The thing that's kind of news for EA this week, and something I meant to mention with Sony last week, I guess we can put it in here as well. EA is not going to raise the prices on games, so they're not going to follow Nintendo and Microsoft's lead right now for the $80 games. Sony is apparently not going to, because their two games that, their two big releases for this year have already gotten, that you can already pre-order them. So those are both 70, Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yotei. EA really, we talked about it already last week. Their slate of games is the 3 sports games. That's all they really have left for this year.
See, that's what I was just going to say, is them saying like, oh, we're not going to increase the prices. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't, because you don't make new shit. It's a roster update and maybe 1 or 2 new features that probably won't go over well, and that's it. So I think, if they tried to make Madden an $80 game, it's like, good luck. Then I think people just stick with the old one.
Not only that, but I also think it's like, you just talked about EA's FC not selling what you wanted it to. The microtransactions didn't add up to what you wanted it to. If you raise that price up another $10,
right?
Maybe people go and buy it, right? But the people that are on that fringe of going,
see, if anything, they should lower the price, because it would help draw in people into a crazy loot box gambling system. Could you imagine if this nonsense had happened when the Dreamcast was around with the NFL 2K games?
Oh yeah, man. The NFL 2K would have been able to eat that up so bad, but of course that's what cost them to lose the license, was because they did that without the NFL's consent.
Right.
Put the price at $20. So, it would have been interesting to see.
Here's the thing. Also, I think, like, honestly, if EA came out with like a new game, like a wholly new game, and they wanted to charge $80 for it, and it was good, I might pay for it if it interested me. Absolutely. But yeah, if they said, we're charging $80 for the new hockey game, and I said, okay, you'll sell to like the hockey weirdos out there, or but that's it. And anyone who actually would want to play it, will just buy the old one for $4 at GameStop.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing last year about college football. Right, is it felt special because it was the first time in 11 years we've had this game. How special is 2026 college football going to feel?
Right. It's been really funny to see. For years, NCAA 14 was like $100 or $150 occasionally, like at used stores.
Right.
Now it's like 10, 5 maybe, or
exactly.
So it's dropped so much. It's been hysterical.
Yeah, because you can essentially play 14 in the 25, right, with the new players and all that stuff. So it's kind of pointless. But yeah, I agree with you on that. Look, there's no reason for them to do it. Also, because you've already kind of given us information about those games. It almost feels like a slap in the face to everybody to just raise the price to 80. Like, we'll see next year, right? I don't know what their slate is, because almost everything that they're outside of Zero Company, almost everything else they're releasing outside of like mobile stuff is, we don't know when the hell it's going to come out. So they really, it's just like Sony. There's no rush for them to put the games at $80, right? There's no point to do it. You might as well just wait, just put everything out at 70, make the money you're going to make, and then see, okay, if it's not enough, then, say whatever PR spin you got to put on it and make it $80 for next year. right?
Right.
Because it's not like we're getting, I don't, whatever the Mass Effect game is, we're not getting that next year. We don't, and then after that, we really don't know when the next things are coming for EA. So unless they just completely surprise with something, and it's like going better than they thought it was, it's kind of the same thing. We'll see next year. If Sony does a state of play in June, do they have anything that's going to come out? Like I wouldn't be surprised if Wolverine is the first $80 game, but that thing's not coming out till next year. So
Right.
We'll see how that goes for them. But
yeah,
I mean, Xbox has, I'm gonna guess it's Gears E-Day. I don't know. We'll find out in less than a month now, whatever their fall game is going to be. I'm sure they will have release dates for some stuff at that showcase, and I'm sure they will probably announce at some point, whether it's in a press release, probably not in the showcase itself, but in a press release, which one of those is 80. Yeah, although they have Game Pass, you don't have to play it for 80 unless you're buying it on something that's not buying it on your PS5 or your PC. Really, it's just PS5 because you don't, even if you have Steam, even if you have PC, you don't have to technically buy it on there. But yeah, like that's the thing is, even if Xbox does that, for Xbox console owners and Xbox, it's like it doesn't seem like that big a deal because you're still paying for a $20 Game Pass. Now, I don't know if Game Pass will go up to like 25 or something at some point. I'm sure that that's coming. If I were Microsoft right now, I would hold off because, again, the more expensive you make that, the less of a bargain that thing seems like, and more people are going to unsubscribe. And right now, you're going crazy about how Call of Duty helped you, retain subscribers. Jacking up the price of that thing's not going to help you. But all right.
They'll raise it to $50 a month and just say it's like buying a Call of Duty every month.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things that maybe not helpful, especially if you're planning on owning a Switch 2, we'll talk about I don't know if there's much to say about, they showed a video of the mouse controls, which look neat. I mean, I like the fact that it's like seamless. I'm glad that it's not something where it's like the Switch 1 was so cumbersome about like taking out controllers and taking the Joy-Con out of the Switch, and then it has to pause your game to recognize that the Switch now is you're using the Joy-Con controller. And then, oh man, I want to go back to using the Pro Controller. Oh, then now it's got to pause me again. And like the fact that this is seamless, like where I'm just going from moving the mouse to, I can stand it up and then start using the Joy-Con normal. I like that. That actually makes me want to kind of maybe play around with the mouse controls more.
But okay,
I'm going to navigate the menu with it because I'm going to be using the Pro Controller probably more than anything.
Right. You know how I solved that problem? Never took my Switch out of the dock. Oh, no, I always had my Pro Controller plugged in.
There's that. But you can't, like for me, the only thing that's kind of annoying is the Switch where it sits behind my TV. It's not the easiest thing in the world to like pull it out and back in. So yeah, I did like using the Pro Controller to like wake it up. That you can't do that with the Pro Controller 1. So it's like, dang, I don't want to pay $90 for another controller. So it's like, man, I'm gonna have to figure out something to make it a little bit easier to maybe that cord will be a lot longer and I can put it like on the side where I have my nightstand and not have to be like completely behind my TV, but we'll see. The thing with Nintendo this week is not only are they, got Genki in court for that 3D printed Switch 2, they modified their user agreement that you signed, the EULA, in preparation for the Switch 2, it seems. After May 6th, they have now added parts of this to the privacy policy and the EULA that essentially makes it to where now if you modify, reverse engineer, lease, rent, decompile, disassemble, distribute, offer for sale, or create derivative works of any portion of the Nintendo account services, blah, blah, blah. You can get in trouble for that. And they can essentially make your console unusable. They can brick your console, is what they're saying in this user agreement. Do you think that Nintendo would actually go that far and brick somebody's console?
Yeah. But I also think, enterprising hackers will get around it.
See, I just don't like, I know Nintendo is very good about coming out on their threats, right? Like if there's one company that they do not care about who you are or whatever, if they want to sue you, they will sue you, right? Whether the thing with Power World ends up being a win for them or not, we'll see, because they still have patents that prove that they filed those things after the game came out. So it's like, if you're really looking at it, it's like, yes, there's precedent that Pokemon existed with the Pokeball thing, and it sucks that Power World had to take that out of the game, but technically there's still a chance that Nintendo could lose, right? Power is just kind of doing that because, like, hey, if we do lose, we already took it out of the game, whatever. And obviously it's costing them legal fees and other bullcrap that they have to deal with now that I'm sure that they didn't want to have to deal with. They are still in India at the end of the day. I don't know, man. I just feel like you go that far of like bricking a console because somebody was playing an emulated game on it or whatever. It's like,
do you not understand how this works? Like, yeah, they're gonna do it. They are Nintendo. Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, the response will be like, "A, don't do that," and then B, buy another one.
Right, but I mean, like, I feel like we're talking about, like, we've seen before where EULAs are not ironclad. You can find legalese around to where,
yeah, but like, okay, if someone hacks a Switch 2 to like run VLC or Linux, go for it. But
yeah,
it's never that. It's someone hacks a Switch 2 to run Switch 2 games not having the cartridge in the console, or not having,
or making that cart that has, the files to run however many games, Switch games on it, or
so. What you're saying is, when I get my Switch 2, if I get one, I shouldn't pop in that flash card I got.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Either that or buy a warranty ahead of time. Or it could be a cool like jail or bricking cartridge thing. Like, you just go to a store and pop it in and have it brick the console and then leave laughing maniacally as I escape.
It's like those people that would buy I don't know if those are ever true, but the people that would buy the opposing console and they're not a Xbox or PlayStation fan or whatever, and they would buy it to like bust it, and break it or whatever.
I mean, that was like within like the first 5 minutes of the PS5 being out. Yeah, there's some idiot on YouTube, breaking it or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, hey, if more power to you. That's how you want to waste your money. But
yeah, I mean, hey, they can try to do this, but I don't think it'll work at all, because it's not like, the hackers and people like that give a fuck. Like, they'll still do it. They'll just get a way around it. I mean, look at, like, it took them a while, but the Xbox 360 is like completely busted open now. The PS3 has been busted open for like at least 5 years. Even the PS4 is kind of open. So
yeah, I wonder if this is also why they, like, I don't know if somebody's gonna. I'm sure someone will figure out how to make this work with the virtual game cards.
Remember the yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, the Switch 1 was basically broken by a fucking paper clip. So yeah, they'll get around this no problem.
Well, I meant more like, right now there's that issue of, okay, Nintendo basically made it to where you can't share your games like the way you do with Yens for PlayStation. Right now with this virtual card update where you have to physically be in the same place as the other person in order to, and you also have to have that family account as well. So it's not just having the regular version of Nintendo Switch Online. You have to have the family account. They have to be in your family. And then also now that's been allowed to be people that are not in your actual household. But you could also used to be able to do that whole same thing of, oh, I'm part of the family account. I don't necessarily live with that person, but I can still play their games if I'm not the primary owner. As long as they're connected to the internet or whatever. Now it's like, oh, that's not going to work. I wonder how long it takes for someone to figure out the wraparound for that. But it's interesting that they put that in the EULA that you sign in both the US and UK that you can't rent. Or would that count as renting? Would they count that as renting if somebody figures out a way to make it work within the software that Nintendo has or whatever without doing? I'm sure they have to hack it some way to be able to do it. But it's like, it'd be interesting if would they go after that person because that's considered that you're allowing other people to rent games,
Well, Nintendo's always had a nice, healthy relationship with video stores and
they had
like
that fight with Blockbuster, right? Or they tried to outlaw
that
renting video games.
Right, and then even before that, like video stores were like copying manuals, for their games, and Nintendo sued them and had to stop that.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I want to see who's gonna be the first one to show up where like Nintendo bricked my console and whatever, and then it follows like a whole string.
What were you trying to do on it? That'd be my next question.
Yeah.
It's not like they just did it for the fun of it. Like,
if you're gonna do that, try to keep all of your stuff on the PC. Do not put your Switch. But that's the thing is like once one person does it and they put the file on the internet, Nintendo ain't stopping that.
Nintendo bricked my console, and then the sub headline is, I was trying to install the Homebrew Loader 2 on it, like, or something like that. So
exactly.
It's like, I wonder why.
But all right, we'll we got at least a month until maybe perhaps we see the first one of those if Nintendo actually does it or not. Do they issue some kind of like big time PR warning or something like, hey, don't do this? We will next person we see brick your console. We'll see how that goes. But a few things here just to kind of get it out of the way before we talk about some cool news that happened with from last week. FPC Firebreak is going to have a technical test this week, May 15th to the 19th. You can go sign up right now if you want to go be part of that. Kind of test out the game and stuff. That's just for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S owners. Of course, it is going to be part of Game Pass and PS Plus when it releases on June 17th. So, you don't have to pay full price to play the game. It is going to be only $40 as well. So there's that. You going to sign up for this thing?
No.
I
just have very little interest in this project overall. Just multiplayer. It'll tie into Control loosely, but I'm the one who really didn't like Alan Wake 2. So
right. Man, as a big like Control Remedy person, I'm really thinking about it. But also like I'm not in a rush because I can just play it on Game Pass, next month or whatever. Right. I actually kind of don't want to be spoiled by it, honestly. But I'm also not big on multiplayer, so it's like, if I have some, like Outer Haven pals that want to play and we all play together, I'm cool with that. Or folks from Crafty's community or whatnot, we can all play together. I'm good with that. I don't want to really play with randos. But I will probably check out whatever story stuff that they want to put in that game because that's one of the funnest parts about the Remedy Control universe thing is it's almost much like Twin Peaks where it's like all the theory crafting and all that stuff that's gone on.
I'll watch like the YouTube video that just has it all compilation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That'll make it fun to watch. Virtua Fighter 5 Revo is coming to consoles with the rollback netcode. And it will release on PC, PlayStation 5, Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch 2, along with the new content and crossplay support. So cool. Glad to see that's happening, and it's gonna be on Switch 2. So I don't know. Are you a
Do you
big Virtua Fighter 5?
No. Are
No?
you? Like, I was just
No,
gonna
I'm
ask
not.
that.
I'm
Like,
not a fighting game
yeah,
person. So,
I
uh,
am a fighting game person somewhat, but there are franchises and shit I've never even touched. So
like
it,
Fatal
it
Fury, I'm guessing is not one of your
right.
favorite ones either.
It's yeah, like it's not a it doesn't fall into the review part, but I'm looking at that Capcom Fighting Collection 2 thing and looking at Capcom versus SNK 1 or 2, and I'm like, I know half this roster, like,
Yeah,
and the other roster is the SNK guys, and I was like, oh, I know Terry Bogard, but that's
yeah.
about
Terry, exactly.
it.
Mia and a few others. Yeah, that's about it.
Right.
Hey, that game you've been waiting on for a while, Gex Trilogy,
Yep.
releases June 16th for everything. It's getting a $200 special edition. You're gonna go.
Yeah, limited run. Of course, they're all $150 or $200.
This gets a full soundtrack, a 36-inch inflatable Gex, and a 7-inch Gex statue and Gex trading cards. You can get all the Gex you want
Right.
with that. Are you?
I may get it. I mean, if it gets more money, possibly. There's like another collector's edition that's also like coming out around the same time, or it's up for pre-order.
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but that also was kind of like interesting to me somewhat.
All right, you definitely got to take pictures of that if you get it.
Yeah. Well, I just got the
know.
Tomba one. I haven't even opened it yet.
Yeah, the
I
Tomba one.
won't,
That's right.
because it's like, why bother? I already had the game digitally, so why bother even opening it?
Right. But all right. The one cool news that happened since the last time we did the show last week. Last week we talked about Polygon essentially being
Flaming out.
flamed out, taking out almost all their core staff to get sold to Valnet.
Right.
And then Giant Bomb was kind of in disarray because fandom was kind of like restructuring what they wanted them to do. They had the episode 888, they got taken down, and then Jeff Grubb said he didn't want to put it back up because of the way it, there was some kind of cutesy mentions of fandom's new policy. They had to be kind of squeaky clean, all that stuff. And they made it a whole big theme throughout the episode. And then turns out that not too long after, Giant Bomb was at PAX East. They did a panel, and they announced that Jeff Bakalar and Jeff Grubb bought Giant Bomb from fandom. And then the rest of like the core crew, Dan Riker, Mac Minotti, and co are all part owner, and Jan are all part
that's
owners.
The last one, yeah.
Of it. They even had kind of funny like sponsor the first Game Mess return today, and then Jeff was on kind of funny Games Daily as well. They're bringing back a bunch of shows and all that stuff now. They're going to do quick looks again, which that had been taken, that be kind of gone. That I'm excited for that. I always love their quick looks. Obviously, I wonder how Jeff Gerson feels now that like he had that whole soliloquy on his podcast for like 40 minutes talking about that, and then and now it's going to be good to go. I wonder if he's going to make some appearances or anything.
I doubt it, because he's been doing his own thing.
Right.
But it's cool in theory, but who knows how long it'll last? If they don't get, I don't know how much.
Yeah, their memberships went up to $10, which is also what kind of funny charges for their memberships. They were $5 previously, but now all the money goes to those guys instead of going to fandom or whatever. So that's that's a positive too. You're helping them directly. What do you like? I'm happy for them. I'm happy that it's still existing.
Sure.
That's
See, I have no attachment to like any of those except for like Jan. Like, if I want to do it, go ahead. But I'm probably not going to subscribe to it just because I don't know. It's still the whole like ship of Theseus. So it's like I have very little attachment to current Giant Bomb.
Right.
And they're not going to get any of the old people, obviously, because they're all doing other shit.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people that were kind of like, oh, well, how long until you guys are broke again, and having to sell it off to somebody.
I have no ill will towards them. Let's say that,
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see him. Jeff Crow's one of my favorite people to watch, listen to. He's always got, good thoughts on things, great insight, from the industry side of things. And he's really consistent about what he does. So I'm always happy to support all that. My issue is just like, I can do $5, and I've done that for like Last Stand. And I've done it for like Min-Max and stuff when they were doing the Rebirth like special series that they did. They're doing one for Clair Obscur right now, but it's just like I do it for like Axe of the Blood God, the RPG podcast, but that's like $2. But like when it gets to like 10, when you're getting into like streaming service type territory for me, it's difficult for me to like hand that over because of having so many streaming services that I'm subscribed to, let alone PS Plus and Game Pass. I wish I could, but I personally won't. But I really hope that a lot of people, the fans that were very upset about them going down, and support independent games media if you can. Obviously, I'm glad to see that those folks are still continuing to exist. Just same with Min-Max and Kind of Funny and Last Stand and all that. I'm happy that all these places exist. Obviously, as Outer Haven is also independent games media, but it's a bit different. Just because we're still trying to be a website that does all the traditional game journalism stuff. Whereas they talked about they're still trying to get. They have the keys, but they're still trying to figure out the website stuff, and they don't have people to just really run the website. So, like, they're kind of thinking about, is the website still going to exist? Kind of funny, they have a website, but it's obviously not, there to be a website, right? So,
yeah, it's the same thing as like Gamers Nexus. Like, technically they have a site, but no one ever goes to it, or
it's like a portal to just like, oh, here's all our stuff that you can find on YouTube and whatever,
I think so. I think if the site went away, though, it would actually be a real big loss. Like, the problem is, like, the site itself got increasingly devalued as Giant Bomb went on.
Right, plus because you also have GameSpot doing the same thing, essentially, sort of. So,
but I mean, Jeff talked about like the wiki last week about how no one cared about it except for him, which I agree with. I mean, I think the first batch of people cared about it, but as they hired on, or no one else cared about it.
Right.
And then even without that, like, there's still a ton of archival content on there, videos, podcasts, stuff like that they should keep around.
Yeah, for sure. That part is always good to have, like, the back catalog there for the historical sense, and just being able to, one of the longest running video. I mean, there are ones that have been around longer, obviously. But I mean, one of the longest running, to still be out there doing that every week, and then all the special shows they do and everything else. I mean, that's great. So, props to fandom too, I guess, for doing that and letting them have their name. And I'm not trying to give too much to a big company, but like, they didn't have to do that, right? They could have been assholes and just been like, "Oh, we own this. You guys got to figure it out."
That's the thing, though, is like, I'm sure they just looked at the balance sheet and gone like, well, we can't restart this. And
like, what would having the name really do?
Yeah.
You're just holding it hostage. Like, it's, so
that's the EA way.
But all right. I think that's, unless, we got to talk about, Thunderbolts. Okay. So we're not really going to do spoilers per se. But if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to hear anybody talk about Thunderbolts, I guess, this is your time to, just really quick, I guess, so we can finish all the video game stuff and we not talking about something that's video game related. Just next week, Crafty is going to be on. I'll put a link to his Twitch and Discord in the podcast description and the YouTube description. He has a great community. If you want to go check out his Discord with people that love games, talk about them. They do fun stuff that's not necessarily game related as well. I'm gonna have him on next week. He's been really anticipating Doom: The Dark Ages, so I get his thoughts on that. Plus, mine. Then I'm play it on once it hits Game Pass on the 15th.
That game is going to be automatically disqualified if the final boss isn't John Romero's head.
We'll see. But yeah, that's the big game that's coming this week for sure. I'm sure most of y'all know that already. But there is some other stuff coming as well. The Yasha Legends of the Demon Blade, which is like an action RPG roguelite that's like kind of anime-ish. That's coming on the 14th. American Arcadia finally hits consoles after being on PC for a couple of years. That's like a neat, like animated, sort of like a stab at corporate America kind of narrative game. That's coming also on the 15th. The Capcom Fighting Collection 2 that Marc's reviewed or been reviewing.
Yeah, yep.
That comes out on the 16th. That Culebro Souls of Limbo that's coming on Game Pass, also coming to Switch and PC. Comes out on the 16th as well. So there's some cool stuff. So yeah, but I'm sure everybody's gonna be playing that Doom. Getting ready for that. So yeah, excited to have Crafty on next week. But all right, from now here forward, gonna be talking about Thunderbolts. So if you don't want to hear us talk about it, you can mosey along here.
Yep.
What'd you think about the movie in general?
We talked about it online. I liked it except for one part. I think they did Sentry like fairly well.
Yeah.
What else? Good action. Not a ton of action, but it was decent. I really like. I mean, I like him as an actor, but I really liked John Walker or Wyatt Russell. In the movie.
He was really good. Coming from like totally hating him after Falcon and Winter Soldier and thinking he was like an ass. Just almost waste of space or whatever.
I never thought I've always liked the guy as an actor. So even when he's in that role, it's like, well, it's still to me, he's always still kind of likable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was mostly good. I don't know, what do you think?
I liked it a lot. Probably the best thing they've had in a way better than Captain America: Brave New World, but that's you didn't have to pass too much of a bar to get by that. Not that it was bad. It was fine, right? I thought Thunderbolts was really good.
Better than the Marvels?
I actually technically haven't seen the Marvels still.
Better than Ant-Man Quantumania?
I haven't seen that either.
I didn't see the Marvels, but you're better off for not seeing Quantumania, trust me.
Yeah. I liked the cast, the whole group together. I thought was really well done. Just I didn't really know much about Ghost because I hadn't seen the Ant-Man movie, and I really ended up liking her a lot by the end. Obviously, they kind of redeem everyone in this, and I thought Yelena's portrayal in this was fantastic. Definitely, they did her justice. Like, she's been in some of the other, and obviously she had a big role in Black Widow, but like Florence Pugh did a great job in this as her. And then David Harbour obviously was hilarious as Red Guardian. Really enjoyed him. He got a lot of laughs out of my girlfriend and out of Anaya as well during watching this in the theater. Yeah, I just liked it overall just because also the theme of the movie was like, you don't see that. I mean, Marvel they've had some, obviously sad moments and all that kind of stuff. Obviously the snap when it happened was, we knew that obviously they're probably all going to get brought back or whatever. Right. But still, it was like that. It was still like, oh my God, kind of thing. And it's just so like, oh wow, they did the void part of the century like really, really well. They really
Right.
made it about, oh, this is about how to get through depression, how to get through a bad time, how to not, put it deep down inside or whatever. And the lesson came through, and they did that well throughout the entire movie. I love the part at the end where that happens. So like I thought for the like getting the baseline from start to finish, delivering that really well was great. And I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four now. Whereas like when I got done with Brave New World and they said, "Oh, the next one's Thunderbolts," I was like, "Okay, whatever," Now
Right.
it's like, "Oh, I want to see how this is going to tie into that." Obviously, there's I don't really. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler really to say that they're the. It's like out on the marketing at this point.
Marvel has already spoiled it, so yeah.
Yeah, the new Avengers thing that they're the new Avengers.
Right.
I know that's technically like not. I guess they're supposed to really actually be like the Dark Avengers, right? Or some other. They're not really technically were the new Avengers. The new Avengers were something else, but they kind of gave them that name for this.
See, like the Thunderbolts name in the comics, or it's a slightly different like team origin, and then
Yeah,
them becoming the new Avengers is also different.
right. Well, I think overall the way they did it, I love the ending scene, that the post credits one that kind of ties into Fantastic Four was
Right.
really well done too. So yeah, I mean overall, I think it's definitely one of the better Marvel movies to come out in a while. It feels like they kind of went back to like at least since Guardians 3, if you want to give it like
Yeah.
something like this actually could be like another like Guardians type team where people were like latch onto them and you didn't expect them to be kind of popular.
Right.
So yeah, it'd be cool if
So,
they, see
yeah.
more of them.
Now I can spoil it. So I'll tell. I mean, I already told you again, but I told you, but I'll tell you again. I really hated how they got rid of Taskmaster. The problem is, like, they got the actress back, so good on for that. She was only shown like one shot of the
Yeah.
movie, so it's like, why even bother getting her back? Just do what they did in fucking Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man, and just cut out.
And they had I think the co-writer on like IGN or something, and he said like that was the biggest change, like that he definitely had
Yeah,
her
I saw
written
some.
out till the end or whatever.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the thing I saw was like she was supposed to kind of be like still slightly brainwashed,
Yeah.
and like most of the movie she was still trying to kind of kill John Walker, like not overtly, but she'd kind of slip in and out of like a fugue state or something,
Yeah.
and it's like that would have been cool. And also, like you said, you like Ghost, and like I love the actress. I've liked her for a long time, but she didn't do a ton in this movie. Like
No, she
I
didn't. She
think
definitely had
like
the smallest role of all the.
yeah, like I think the movie was like weirdly overstuffed, uh, but like also underdeveloped as well. Like so yeah, like they should have just had Taskmaster like live till basically the end, and then have Sentry kill her.
Yeah.
That would have been my
They could have.
ultimate.
Yeah, they could have done it at that spot where
Right.
Century has that
Did,
moment.
did you ever see? Did you watch a ton of Black Mirror?
I've only seen like the first season really.
Look up. I mean, I think you still have Netflix.
Yeah,
Look
I do.
up. I want to say it's season 2, maybe season 3. Because the guy who is John Walker and Ghost are in an episode together.
Okay. Cool.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's season 3. It's called Playtest, and like that's kind of where I first noticed Wyatt Russell, because like he's a really like he comes across like really well in an episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were in like that episode, and it was pretty good. So yeah, I just didn't like what they did to Taskmaster. I also don't like Julie Louis-Dreyfus at all. Like as an
Oh, you don't? Okay.
So her
I think she does that role well. I mean, like that is kind of her prototypical role for her.
Right.
But I kind of understand. Like, yeah. I mean, honestly, this was kind of like the time where I felt like, okay, are they ever going to have a time where she gets a moment? Because it almost feels like, okay, they've had her come in and be here
she
and
kind of popped
there.
up in like Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I think like one other one also. But she's in it for like a scene, and that's it.
Isn't she in She-Hulk or whatever? Once or
maybe.
I'm
trying. I'm actively trying to repress She-Hulk. So
no, it's like I wonder if they're gonna actually have She-Hulk appear in the like when they do the
She-Hulk
Avengers
ended
or
in
not.
like the weirdest cliffhanger ever. So I doubt it. I think because I think I saw that like Marvel is now not going to do like famous characters or like the movie characters and TV shows except for the Vision series. But that'll wrap up his character basically.
Yeah.
That's a good plan.
Well, and now they're gonna actually do like multiple seasons or whatever. Like they basically said that they have season 3 of Daredevil like ready to go if season 2 does well. So yeah, that's positive.
I saw the report today that like Amazon just renewed Fallout for season 3. It's like no shit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think who is the guy that plays Maximus? He said that they have his character like storyboarded out to like season 5 or 6 if it gets that far. So hey, that's positive too, right? They have long-term planning with this. It's not like they're just kind of just going as a whatever. Let's just come up with this stuff for a season and whatever. It seems like I'm glad to see that they have plans for that. It seems like now that they have Kevin Feige's not like trying to do both. They have somebody that's just in charge of the TV side. It feels like they kind of figured this out, and it's like, oh, we don't need to try to do 20 shows. Just do like 3 or whatever, and that's it.
If only Star Wars could learn.
To be fair, it's like Star Wars also doesn't need to do the thing with Star Wars is actually it works out better that way because I really don't want them doing 10 Star Wars movies or whatever that they were planning at one point. They felt like, you know, so if we're just gonna do like okay, whatever the next trilogy of movies is, whenever that's gonna happen, and then we're gonna like in the meantime, okay, we're just gonna be all this other TV show stuff, which Disney said that's kind of been working for them. It's the Star Wars TV shows are for the most part doing well. They just, I don't know if it's a budget or it's like they get the one with Andor, and then they get like 2 that are kind of like get a cult following, but not explosion awesome either.
They're making Ahsoka too. That'll be a big hit.
Yeah. But all right.
But yeah, Thunderbolts is good.
Yeah.
I also saw Sinners, but I'm not you've seen that. So
I have not. I want to see it. At this point, I may just wait till it's on Max or whatever it's going to be on.
I don't. Maybe, but I don't think it'll be leaving theaters for at least a few more weeks. Like it seems to be doing better and better, kind of. I mean, it's going down, but it's still was like the number 2 movie of the week, I should say. So
yeah, I don't know what their deal is, but like even Sonic was in theaters until like even the week that it showed up on Paramount Plus, and then after that, that's when they pulled it. But
did you see? I mean, it was hysterical. They tried to put Snow White back into theaters, like a lot of theaters.
Why?
And it made basically $50 per theater.
Nobody wants to see that thing. It was terrible. It's not going to stop from being terrible. What are you going to do to it that's going to make it all like it's a bad movie to the point where Disney is like reconsidering doing any more live action movies that aren't
already done
or the only one at this point, honestly, the ones that work are the ones that are about animals. Like Stitch, Lilo and Stitch is probably going to do really well. I wouldn't be surprised. Mufasa came back and did well. or whatever after it didn't do so hot at the beginning.
Right.
Like the stuff that's about not the princesses apparently seems to do well.
Yeah.
So, or I don't know. It's just I don't know if it's just Snow White was just that terrible or
It was,
whatever.
but
It,
like none of their live action stuff, as far as like replicating like Cinderella or
yeah,
any of that
I
stuff,
think
other than
Beauty and
like
the Beast is the only one that
right.
like got
No,
critically loved and
Cinderella was like the good one. I think Beauty and the Beast, even that was still kind of middling, but at least
yeah,
according to Jens. But
but it was
yeah,
also like when they first started doing it, so it wasn't
right.
overblown at that point, right?
Make a live action version of Wall-E.
That'll be interesting if we get to that point.
Yeah,
You know, let's do the Black Cauldron live action. That's what we all
sure.
need. But all right, that's it for the episode this week. Thank you everybody for watching, whether you watch live or you listen later, watch later. We appreciate it. Go like, subscribe, follow, all that. And we'll see you next week.
Later.
Peace.